I love Cobra Kai, but the Johnny portrayed in Cobra Kai is a completely different character to the Johnny in Karate Kid. I would go as far to say that the Cobra Kai creators don't even actually understand Johnny. Let's start with the first example. Johnny is still upset at Daniel for losing the tournament back in 1984. It's just not true. He hates seeing Daniel on TV. He hates seeing a billboard of him. He's nervous and upset when he's at the dealership. And when they bring up the tournament and Daniel says, "I kicked his face," Johnny says, "It wasn't a legal kick." But that really doesn't make sense. Because if you watch The Karate Kid, you see that right after Daniel wins, Johnny gets up in a matter of seconds and is congratulating Daniel for the win. He hands him the trophy, he says, "You're alright," and he says, "Good game." Now, why would Johnny say good game to Daniel? You could say that he was upset, so he was pretending to be nice to Daniel, but why would he do that? You could say he was lying to Daniel, but what would Johnny get out of lying to Daniel? There's no reason why Johnny would want to lie to Daniel. Not to mention that there was a lot of emotion in his face. Yes, there was probably some sadness for losing, and maybe a little bit of pain, but Johnny was showing respect for Daniel, and he was showing some happiness for Daniel winning. Now, yes, he has respect for Daniel now because Daniel barely started learning karate, and he still beat him. After several sabotage attempts against Daniel, Daniel still won. So that's why he won Johnny's respect. According to Cobra Kai, we know that Johnny is a pretty straightforward person. He says exactly what he thinks. So, he's not the kind of person that goes out of his way to lie just to make someone happy that he's an enemy of. Now, maybe he might say that to Miguel, he might say that to Carmen, but if someone's his enemy, why would he lie to that person to make them feel better? That's not something Johnny would do. Right? That's not his character in Cobra Kai. And if that's not his character, then we know that Johnny didn't lie to Daniel when he said good game. So if he's genuinely telling Daniel good game, then why 30 plus years later, when the tournament's brought up and about being kicked in the face, why would Johnny say it was a legal kick? That doesn't make any sense for Johnny's character. In Cobra Kai, Johnny's character is a caricature of a generic 80s bully. Now, that's not who Johnny was in Karate Kid. Johnny did have some disagreements with Ali and some physical altercations with Danny. But do we see Johnny or any other Cobra Kai member going around bullying anybody besides Daniel? But Daniel did instigate a lot of those fights. So it's not a black and white situation. Cobra Kai would have you believe that Johnny used to just go around bullying nerds. That he used to go around bullying anyone he thought was a loser. But we never see that in Karate Kid. Johnny was not really that much of a bully. He's more or less a normal person. Cobra Kai portrays Johnny as a way worse character than he was originally portrayed in Karate Kid. He wasn't going around harassing kids for just being nerds. Johnny was not doing that. None of the people in Cobra Kai were doing that. And Daniel wasn't really even a nerd. Daniel was getting in between Ali and Johnny. That's the only reason why there was a rivalry between Johnny and Daniel. Johnny wanted to talk to Ali to get back together, and Ali didn't want to talk to him. But later on, we see that Ali is upset with Daniel, and Daniel tries to get her to forgive him and talk to him. Now, Johnny was a bit more aggressive, but they both kind of did the same thing there. We still know that Johnny has some morals. After the fight, there's no more rivalry between Johnny and Daniel. It's pretty much over. We don't hear anything from Daniel in Cobra Kai about any attacks from Johnny after the tournament. It's because it was resolved. Cobra Kai makes Johnny very dumb. They make him the Homer Simpson of Cobra Kai. He doesn't know computers, he doesn't know the internet. We've never seen in Karate Kid, they never showed Johnny as someone that's anti-technology. They've never shown him as being anti-nerd or any of those type of things. Anti-computer. They never addressed anything like that. Now, we see Johnny at golf and stuff. Now, they do have miniature golf at golf and stuff, obviously. But what else do they have at golf and stuff? They have video games. Now, those are things you could say that nerds like to play video games. That's something you think Johnny would make fun of, according to Cobra Kai. But this is a popular spot in Karate Kid. So, isn't he doing the same nerd thing that he claims that's only for nerds? There's no reason why he would be against computers, against learning about computers. That doesn't even really fit his character. They're making him just seem like that's how Homer Simpson used to have more heart to him. And as the seasons of The Simpsons went on, Homer Simpson just got more and more dumb. Yes, he was the butt of the jokes, there was funny parts, but you couldn't really take him seriously as a character. And that's the same thing for Johnny. You can't really take him seriously as a character. In Karate Kid, you could take him more seriously. He wasn't the joke of the movie. Yes, you kind of felt good when Daniel got back at Johnny sometimes, and that when Daniel won. But other than that, Johnny was a pretty good guy. And even him being upset about Allie because Daniel moved in on his girl. Okay, yes, they had broken up at the time. And he makes it seem like he regretted not being with Allie because she was his first love. Well, that part doesn't make any sense. Because Daniel only dated Allie for like a few months. If Johnny had just even tried to talk, which we've already seen that Johnny and Allie, their paths cross. Johnny could have easily reached out to Allie, and they possibly could have got back together. We see from season 3 of Cobra Kai that Johnny and Allie were essentially kind of meant to be a couple. Now he has Carmen instead. That's not really a good reason for him to be all upset about Daniel. He could have easily got back with Allie like a couple months later. Portraying Johnny as being angry at Daniel, having this rivalry, the way things ended in Karate Kid, Johnny redeemed himself. By the end of the movie, Johnny had already turned to a good guy. He already humbled himself. He offered Daniel the trophy. He said, "Good game." He said, "You're alright." There's no more rivalry. They could have been friends in the next movie if Daniel didn't go to another country. And we never hear about Johnny again, really. Based on what Johnny saw, that Mr. Miyagi can easily take out Kreese, you would think that Johnny would want to be taught by Miyagi also. He's looking for a mentor. Mr. Miyagi is the mentor. He may not want to train Johnny, but maybe he would. Maybe he want to just teach him to get away from Cobra Kai. It's possible. Or Daniel could have taught him. It's either way. He already mended things between him and Daniel. Why would he go back on that? Yes, I know, they went back on that because they wanted more drama for the show. But honestly, they really didn't need that. And there's another thing that Cobra Kai doesn't portray accurately. At the end of Karate Kid, Johnny gets kicked. He's laying flat on the ground for less than a second. Then he gets up and rides around for a few seconds. 10 seconds later, he's already up and congratulating Daniel. It doesn't even look like he's in pain anymore. But if you watch the intro to Cobra Kai, yes, it's in slow motion, but it makes it seem like he's just on the floor for a long period of time. But that wasn't the case. He literally bounced back up in a few seconds. And the way Johnny was acting, he was not acting like his life was going down the drain. He wasn't acting like his life was ruined. Yes, obviously Kreese attacking him in the parking lot led to more things going on. Johnny said he didn't trust anyone. Well, that's not true. He has this friend group from Cobra Kai. We see them. He still hangs out with them. Obviously he's still in touch with them. How did he know one of them was a pastor? He obviously is in touch with them. So to say he didn't have anyone, that's not true. He could have reached out to Allie. His mom didn't die until Robbie was born. He had all these friends that they still keep in contact with after 30 years. Yes, it's understandable he's upset. Carice abandoned him. But he wasn't alone. Any kind of conflict at the start of Cobra Kai between Daniel, to be annoyed seeing Daniel, that doesn't make any sense. That's not the character we left off on Karate Kid. Now, if he's bitter and angry at Carice, or his father, or any other things, that would make sense.